In VEGA, there are several ways of drawing polylines on edges. In this video, we will get to know two of them: the command for drawing two polylines on two edges at the same time, and the command for drawing one polyline on one edge. We will consider the drawing of two polylines using the example of drawing a curbstone. The problem with drawing a curbstone is that we do not have an exact edge at the top, because there is either a rounded surface or a curved edge, and at the bottom there is usually not a very good point cloud, shadow, or dirt. Let's run the command to draw two polylines. We'll look at the parameters of this command a little later, but for now, let's see how the command works. I will specify a point that will be the first point for both the top and bottom polylines. From this point, we will take the x and y coordinates. We will get the z coordinate for the bottom polyline by specifying a reference point that will be on the road, a little farther away, on a good and accurate surface. We will get the z coordinate for the upper edge by setting the reference point on the curbstone surface. As we can see, the VEGA program shows the exact coordinates that will be used for the drawing. We start the drawing by specifying the points where the vertices of the polylines will be located. If I make a mistake, I can always type a U and make changes. I can change the size of the text by typing D to decrease and I to increase the size of the text. If you want to increase the size several times, type I, and then press Enter several times. You can also change the color of the text. Let's select green. We'll look at the Reset Z for Next Point option a little later. Finish the command and take a look at the result of our work. Let's change the transparency. What we see are two polylines drawn exactly along the edges. Let's change the transparency again. This is the parameter window that we have before we run the command. Its default value is no. This means that one polyline will be exactly on top of the other. When drawing a curbstone, sometimes it is necessary to make the lower polyline to be on the edge of the curbstone on the road surface, and the upper polyline on the second edge of the curbstone, that is, with an offset of several centimeters. Set the value to yes. The second parameter defines where the coordinates will be displayed near the reference points or directly in the place where the vertex will be located. In these parameters, we can define for each of the polylines the layer on which it will be drawn. By default, both polylines are drawn on the current layer. Let's see how the command works with the changed parameters. We specify the start point, the first reference point, the second reference point, and the point for defining the offset. As a result of the command, we have two polylines, one of which is at the distance specified for the offset. Let's look at the curbstone from the side. In this example, we'll look at the same command, but the polylines will be drawn on a curved surface. We want to draw two polylines that define this wall. We define the first point, the lower reference point, and the upper reference point and start drawing. Now we need to make a turn. Let's change the position of the reference point. We type R to reset Z for next point, and now, when we define the next vertex point, the command will ask us for a new location for the reference points. Once again, we change the location of the reference points. Let's look at the side. Let's change the transparency. We can see the result of our drawing. Let's change the transparency again. Let's look at the Draw One Edge by Point Cloud command. In this case, we only have one setting parameter. I want to draw a polyline that defines the lower boundary of the road. The command works in the same way as the previous command, except that we have only one reference point. Change the position of the reference point. Change the transparency. We see polyline drawn exactly along the road border. Sometimes when drawing polylines, there are problems caused by insufficient quality of the point cloud, or dirty, or uneven surface. Let's draw the top and bottom polylines. For the top polyline, the wall surface will most likely be of insufficient quality, and we will get drawing errors. We got the bottom polyline good, but there are problems with the top polyline. To correct such errors in the VEGA program, there is a command, stretch 3D polyline vertex with VEGA pointer. This command allows us to select the vertex in the polyline and position it exactly on the point cloud. Let's make the corrections. Let's change the transparency, and we can see that we have a nice polyline running along the top of the wall. Here is another situation in which it is convenient to use double polyline drawing. Drawing on facades. We want to draw two polylines that will define the balcony. Let's run the command. In this case, we need to change the position of the reference points at each vertex, because at each vertex we will have a turn. Let's select this option. I specify the first point. I specify the position of the reference point of the upper polyline and the position of the reference point of the lower polyline. Next point, upper reference point, lower reference point. Next point, upper reference point, lower reference point. Next point, upper reference point, lower reference point. We press the C key to get closed polylines. Let's look at our balcony from the side. Change the transparency, and you will see that we have two polylines, one exactly on the surface of the wall and the other on the surface of the balcony. We've looked at just a few situations where these two commands can be used, but there are, of course, many more.